Hey, it's your boy Charlie at it again. For those who are here for the first time at Time Sylvania channel, we like to delve into interesting horological story. This time I got a crazy origin story for you people. If you love intrigue history, then you will be in for a treat. On the 13th of November 2016, Phillips auction house managed to sell a Patek Philippe 1518 for approximately $11.1 million, meaning that until that date, this was the most expensive watch ever sold on an auction. The position it had since lost to other watches, but for a time, it was a huge feat. Okay, yeah, it's a nice watch, but what's the fuss about it, you might say? Well, it is special. Very special, in fact. This watch is a rare stainless steel cased perpetual calendar, housing one of the most complex complications available for a wristwatch at that time, showing hours, minutes, small seconds, being the first of its kind to contain a chronograph with perpetual calendar, meaning day, date, month, plus a moon phase. Only 4 stainless steel watches were made of this type, with majority of the production run spanning from the years 1941 to 1955, with 281 pieces made mostly of yellow gold, 55 in rose gold. Keep in mind, this was approximately 30 years before the advent of steel luxury watches such as the AP Royal Oak or the Patek Philippe Nautilus. So having a stainless steel watch was a highly unusual thing. Most watches from this era were either housed in, let's say, precious metal cases or chrome-plated cases. The entire aesthetic of this watch emanates a well-thought-out design concept. This reference was meant to show the world that indeed times were changing, and Patek Philippe was paying attention. The dial is the center of it all, with the tachymeter scale enclosing the whole assembly, and the ivory dial managed to stay in pristine condition. Leaf hands, one of the sub-second hands, chronograph hands, and triple date hand all blued. Size of the watch is 35 millimeters with a beautiful gris frère beads of rice bracelet. Sorry if I butchered the name. Movement is a modified Valjoux 13 130Q, which is a legendary movement which has been used even in the successor model, the 2499. Yes, indeed, the watch does cater to a dominant general feel of the year it was first introduced, 1941. Yeah. But contrary to the precious metal examples, the stainless steel variant is totally different. This is not a luxury timepiece, this is a measuring device as evidenced by its brushed case, an instrument for the industrious man. This steel edition was made according to the company archives in 1943 and sold on the 22nd of February 1944 to Joseph Lang in Budapest, together with the second example, the one with case number 2. So as the listing on a Phillips auction house webpage states, tomorrow was not guaranteed, but there was a sense of commitment to living in the present clearly demonstrated by Mr. Lang when he made his purchase. But this sounds a bit strange. I mean, why would a chap called Joseph Lang order 2 pieces of one of the most rare watches only available and accessible to royalty and ultra-privileged Budapest during the Second World War? This wasn't even a month away from the 18th of March when Hungary was overrun by Nazi Germany during Operation Margarete, turning it into a tightly controlled puppet state and starting the industrial-scale deportation of Jews, and being not even a year away from the encirclement of Budapest and its siege by the Soviets. I mean, it still blows my mind. It would be equivalent of today if we'd sent 2 iced-out Jacob & Co. watches to Bakhmut, Ukraine in 2021. Okay, this might be a bit far off. I have a better example. Just sending 2 iced-out Jacob & Co. watches to Kabul in 2020, a couple of months before the Taliban takeover. I mean, this just sounds super crazy, doesn't it? So the thing is that Joseph Lang wasn't a person. Joseph Lang was a watch retailer company. To be specific, it was called the Joseph Lang Corporation, owned mainly by the Lang family, and things started to go a bit deep from here. I began searching for information about the company, managed to find a receipt from the Hungarian Museum of Commerce and Catering Industry, issued by the company in 1935. And yeah, now we have an address. Holló utca 7. Okay. It gets interesting from here. So Holló Street number 7, or Raven Street in English, is in the Budapest Jewish district. And this district was the place where, on the 18th of November 1944, the Budapest ghetto was set up by the Arrow Cross Nazi Party for almost 70,000 Jews, with Holló Street number 7 being well within its borders. You can see the location on the map there. Okay, this is clearly getting more and more interesting. This company got 2 stainless steel Pateks delivered a couple of months before the fronts reached the outskirts of Budapest and had its headquarters in the Budapest ghetto, home to one of the most inhumane and crowded conditions possible. Interesting stuff we have here, but there is more. While searching through the Budapest Office of Records, I managed to find, while looking into the documents of the public notary called Siegfried Hollitscher. Interesting side note. Mr. Hollitscher was the vice president of the Chamber of Public Notaries, and in 1942 he was dismissed from his post because of his Jewish roots, and he died in 1944. So from 1941, a request was found in the documents of this notary with a request to validate the signature of a person who was a representative of the Joseph Lang Corp. And the person was Born Friedrich. As the document states, Born Friedrich, representative of Joseph Lang Corp, his status/job was trustee, local office of the Swiss Commerce Center. And also he was the member of the board of directors of Joseph Lang & Corp. Okay, Born Friedrich. I have seen that name somewhere. Okay. No way. Well, we have a person who fits the aforementioned description, and it is no other than Born Friedrich, who came to Hungary during 1936 as a member of the Swiss Federal Department of Foreign Trade. And in May 1944, he became the Swiss delegate of the International Committee of the Red Cross, and is credited with issuing around 15,000 Schutzbriefe, or protection documents issued by the Red Cross, to prevent the deportation of Hungarian Jews. He is credited with rescuing between 11,000 and 50,000 people from certain death. Now, these were the facts. On to the speculation part. Did Born Friedrich have a hand in procuring these 2 watches to Budapest at that time? Well, it certainly seems possible, as he was in the board of directors of Lang Joseph Corporation from 1941. So 3 years before these watches were ordered, and he was a Swiss government official in charge of trade. And at that time, trade with Switzerland mostly meant dealing with watches. If he could forge 15,000 fake documents, then he certainly seems competent enough to order 2 ultra-rare timepieces to a soon-to-be besieged town. Could it be that these watches were destined to be used as bribes to ensure safe passage of denizens of the ghetto? To save someone's life? To be given to a high-ranking Arrow Cross government official? I mean, the idea doesn't seem too far-fetched. I wouldn't rule it out by any means. I'm guessing the solution to this dilemma could be presented by the 2 families at whom these watches resurfaced during the beginning of the 1990s. So until they speak up, we might never know the full story. One family got suspicious after they asked around at auction firms wanting to sell the watch. Then these price offers went completely ballistic, ranging from a couple of $1,000s upwards. So they asked for the help of an expert. And the other watch got sold for a couple of 500,000 USD, so at least one of the families knew that the watch was valuable. The original owner families hold the key to the origin story of this ultra rare, magnificent timepiece. And this is the reason that I make videos like this, as it goes to show that watches have a certain privileged position in our accessory box. They collect stories, context, and history. Our timepieces foster a personal relationship with us, and they reveal a ton. Nowadays, Holo Street 7 is located in the heart of the tourist area. Old Budapest isn't there anymore. The old buildings of Joseph Lang Corp have been superseded by new constructions filled with Airbnb rentals and totally unsuspecting tourists. With the firm vanishing after 1947 from the records, at a time when privately owned companies got nationalized by the communist establishment after the war concluded. Anyway, this was all I wanted to share. See you guys in the next video. Cheerio.